most intense exam I have ever taken in my entire life. My name's Kimber Marie, your lawyer friend who is obsessed with all things intellectual property. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Right now, I am memorializing my law school experience and my journey to becoming an IP and brand protection attorney. And this video is about my bar exam experience. My story actually begins with my final trimester in school because we were required to take a bar exam foundations class. This was essentially where they helped us get started on our bar applications and finish our bar applications. Even though a lot of that was still on us to handle and get mailed out, it was just nice to have a class where if you had a question about your application, you could just show up in class and ask about it. Outside of that, the rest of the class was really about starting to learn the format of the exam, the format of questions, what's going to be covered, all of the basics you would need before starting bar prep. It was helpful. It was a little stressful at times just because for me personally, I didn't want to be burned out before starting bar exam prep. And honestly, I was a little burned out. I think most people were, just with law school being as intense as it is. But that being said, that is where I say that my bar exam experience officially began, was with that class. If I remember correctly, I also went ahead and I think I reserved my hotel room because I was traveling like a bunch of other people. I know some people might have chosen to drive, but I didn't want to worry about that. I found a hotel really close by, the same hotel that my accountability buddies were staying at, even though we didn't really talk that much, before and after, just because everyone was so tired and stressed. But it was nice to know that there were people in the building that I knew. And this particular hotel was really close to the testing site. Yes, bar exam foundations class, submitting the bar application. The bar application is lengthy. It has a lot of steps to it. My only advice with that is to divvy it up into chunks each day. Go ahead and reach out to your recommendations as early as possible so you can get those in as early as possible and just not have to worry about waiting for another person to send in something you need, and just work on the application until it's done and try to get it done and mailed early. It was also right before fall trimester, semester, whatever you want to call it, that I switched my bar prep program. I was initially going to do Barbary. I had put a deposit down, but I pretty much heard that Themis was essentially the same thing, just cheaper. And everyone that I talked to seemed to take Themis. And so I just decided I'm going to pull the deposit, go with Themis, because one, my accountability buddies, they also were doing Themis, so that was nice that we were all using the same program. But two, if it's basically the same stuff as Barbary but cheaper, like, I'm going to do that because we're talking thousands of dollars. I'm going to switch. So I had my bar prep program decided on and paid for. It came in, I think, sometime in November. And then once I got the materials and I was done with classes and all that was left was graduation, I basically sat down and just mentally prepped, like, okay, I'm starting on this day. These are all my books. I have everything. I know where I'm going to be studying at. I initially was going to study at the church that I go to. They were going to let me use some of their rooms that they had open there. I did that for like maybe the first week, and I didn't like the driving back and forth. Like, I might as well just study at home and cut down on the driving time. So I ended up just studying from home. Another thing that I did to mentally prep for bar prep was I made my own 77 bar program, which basically was to help me approach bar prep holistically. And these are the tasks that I set out for myself. So 78 days in the program from when I started. I officially started on December 11th. I had 7 tasks each day. So hit my bar study hours for the day, exercise for 1 hour, drink 64 ounces of water, aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep, eat some veggies and fruits, text my accountability partners, and do 10 minutes of visualization. And something I want to make sure you can see is that I didn't do it perfectly. I had breakdowns, and I also, every Sunday, I took a rest day every week, which was planned. And then I took Christmas off. I don't know if I took... No, I didn't take New Year's off, but I don't think I did at least. But I had rest days. The boxes with an X in it mean that I didn't do it that day. I fell off with the visualization as I got closer, and that makes sense just with the stress setting in. It's hard to like sit down and like regulate yourself when you're stressed out. But I will say that I think having this changed the game for me, because not only was I just worried about checking off this list that Themis is giving me, but I'm also concerned about taking care of myself holistically as a person. Because, repeat after me, we're not robots, we're humans. We need sleep, we need exercise, we need good food, we need water. This was my approach to keep me honest about not getting tunnel vision on just bar prep, but also being concerned about how am I feeling, how am I sleeping? I will say that I crossed out for 1 hour and just left it at exercise. Don't worry about time, just do something. And then I also crossed out 64 ounces of water and just left it at drink some water. It doesn't matter the amount, just try and drink some water each day. So I forget when I did that, but at some point in the program, I was like, don't worry about measuring, just try and get it in somehow. 2 other things that also really helped with bar prep was I had a bar mentor who I met with weekly for like 30 minutes. I cried a lot on those meetings. I had days where I didn't get as much as I wanted to done. And what I mean by that is I would go through and try to do as much of the to-do list that Themis gave me as possible. But as time went along and I got a better understanding of my weak areas, I would try and prioritize like going over things I missed or rules that I kept forgetting, and then tacking that onto what Themis was asking me to do. And honestly, like when it came to watching the videos or reading the outlines, I would do it, but I don't want to say waste my time on that. Like I would put the videos on 2 times speed or double speed, whatever the term is. And I would read the outline, but I wasn't too worried about going through and like annotating everything and like underlining things. Like I just went through, refreshed myself, did the task that Themis asked of me to get it done if it had to do with an outline, and then I would move on to testing myself. So my approach was to base my studying off of practice exams, practice essays, practice multiple choice, and then from there, go and look at the outlines, the flashcards, make my own flashcards, whatever it may be. Don't do the reverse, where you're spending all your time on reading the outline and making flashcards, but then not actually testing yourself. And I also would test myself under timed conditions. And then most importantly, I would review what I did. Like I would review what I got wrong, why I got it wrong, what should it have actually been? And then saying, okay, I was weak in these areas. This is what it should have looked like or what I could have improved on. Let me write that down to reinforce it. So that was my approach going into it, and it worked for me. Again, you're gonna have to play around with it. Everyone varies, but I do think it's a good idea for the majority of people to really prioritize doing practice essays, practice exams, and practice multiple choice questions. And so my bar mentor kept me honest about all of that. And if I did have a bad day, she would talk me through it and just encourage me. Same thing with my accountability group. Me and 2 other friends, we had a text chat where we checked in with one another. We complained about things if we felt like it. Every day we would say, okay, I hit my goals on this, but maybe not on this. Here's my plan for fixing that in the future. And if we didn't text every day, it was at least every other day. if you were able to get a bar mentor and accountability group, even if it's just for like, I'm not saying you have to study in a group. I think that would stress me out. If that works for you, great. But at least find an accountability partner or an accountability group where you can create a text chat for venting as needed, giving advice as needed, and just holding each other accountable for the studying you're doing. Another aspect that I incorporated, and I mentioned it briefly, was visualization. When I say visualization, I don't just mean like seeing myself sitting at the desk the day of, although that is a part of it. I mean, like, I visualized myself at home, finishing my bar prep, getting ready to leave to go to the exam in my hotel, packing everything, driving over there, arriving at my hotel, unpacking everything, getting ready the night before, and then the day of, the first session, the break, the second session, going back to the hotel, the next day, morning session, break, afternoon session, then driving home. That was the mailman's here. I'm kind of embarrassed to keep recording because he's gonna walk in front. I kind of feel like I should hide. What if he looks... Damn, what did we order? Okay, I'm gonna assume he's not gonna walk by. So we'll continue. So basically visualizing literally every single step in the process from the time that I leave or pack my bags, honestly, to the time that I come back from the exam. And I did that primarily because I'm a nervous driver. The thought of driving somewhere new for like a high stakes event like the bar exam is, I was worried that I would have a panic attack while driving there because of the aspect of driving and just flake and not take it. We could get into why I am the way that I am, but that would require like hours and hours, and I don't think y'all are here for that. So that's why I did my visualization that way. If I were to recommend visualizing to someone else, I think it would be enough to just visualize every step of the exam, at least. Like sitting down, getting ready, feeling calm, feeling prepared, like visualize yourself the way you want to be on the day of the exam. And the reason I say to do this is because it's scientifically, maybe not proven, but there is scientific research to back up the power of visualizing what you're going to do before you do it. So in the immediate weeks up to the exam, I went and I visited the test site again because I'm a nervous driver. I wanted to know what the route was like. Where am I going? What does it look like? How big is it? We didn't go inside because like my dad went with me. And I'm slightly embarrassed saying that, but also really not embarrassed at all because like you need moral support, you know? So he went with me. He actually drove because again, nervous driver. And I just wanted to see the building, where my hotel was located, how far is it from the hotel to the testing site. I also made sure that all of my entrance information and materials were ready, that I had everything. I finished up as much as I could of my prep program. My goal for how much I wanted to complete of the bar prep program was honestly, like I wanted to do all of it, right? But at the very least, I aimed for whatever, there was a certain statistic that was shared with me that if you completed this much of the program, you were like guaranteed to pass. I don't know what y'all hear. That was what I heard. I want to say it was like 85%, but don't hold me to that. Like go to the people at your school and talk to them about that. Talk to the Themis or Barbary representatives. What I will say is that these bar prep programs, even though they're super expensive, they are in the business of prepping you for the bar exam. So it is not good business if the people who use their program don't pass. So hearing a statistic like that did make me calm down. Like, okay, if I do the program, even if I'm kind of altering it to fit what I need study-wise, but I'm doing the program and I'm utilizing what they've given me and I complete whatever that percentage was, because I honestly don't remember, the likelihood of me passing is increased and very high. And that calmed me down so much. So figure out what that percentage is and just work towards it every day. The day before I packed my lunch, I was scared about eating out or eating whatever was catered by our school, because our school was there. We had our mentors and stuff waiting outside, and they brought snacks and food for everyone, which I thought was really nice. It was good to have them there. But again, I'm a nervous person. I didn't want to eat something and just psych myself out and convince myself that I'm gonna like vomit or something. So I prepped food that I knew, like, okay, I've eaten this before. I know who made it. Like, again, if you're not nervous, or if that's not an idiosyncrasy that you have to deal with, don't worry about it. Eat whatever you desire on the day off. So the day of the bar exam, what was it like? I remember waking up as I said I would. I did all the things that I visualized in my mind. I was really anxious to just get there. Like, I just wanted to be at the testing site. I did have my cooler in the car with me, because in between, like during breaks, I just hung out in my car and ate lunch. I really just felt like I drank too much coffee, even though I didn't. That's how I felt. I am someone where I do get, even though I get anxious in groups of people, I do feel calmer when I see other people in the area. Like, I don't necessarily want to talk to them in depth, but just knowing that I'm not completely alone somewhere makes me feel better. So that was nice to get there and see other people, like, okay, I'm in the right area. Once we got filed in, I found my desk. I got a little stressed out when I got there because someone else was sitting in my spot. They didn't realize that it was like numbered seating. So that kind of psyched me out at first. I was like, oh my God, like, I know I registered, like, I definitely paid. Where's my desk? But that was sorted out like within 5 minutes. And once I got there, like, it was just a matter of blinders on, just focus on getting this done. And I just focused on what was right in front of me and taking it question by question, page by page. As soon as I was allowed to leave, I would go to my car. There were, I think the second day, definitely, the second day was the multiple choice, and I felt so not confident on that. Like, I was convinced that I did not pass, because I just felt like every question, it was almost like reading another language, and it was in English. So it was stressing me out, and it was one of those moments where I was like, I kind of just want to be around people and not talk about this. So I actually stood outside with the people from our school, the mentors that we had, and just kind of chewed the fat with them, and we talked about movies, and it was really nice to have. If you are someone where you want to be left alone and you want quiet time, by all means, go and do that. Like, you are not going to hurt anyone's feelings, like, not talking to them the day of. People get it. Honestly, the second worst experience of the bar exam experience is waiting for results. We got our results in North Carolina on April 3rd. And leading up to that moment, I definitely, after the bar exam was over, I was vegging out. I definitely did not keep up my exercise routine, at least not at first. I began the job search process back and networking. I found a part-time like law clerking position working from home, which I was very thankful for. But then the nerves set in because you want the results. Like, am I gonna have to do all this all over again? And the closer it got to April, which is when most North Carolina students were expecting to get answers, because if I remember, they gave us a date range. There's a whole thread on Reddit where people are just like predicting, okay, based on years past, these results were released for February on this month, and then or on this day of this month, and then July was released on this day of this month, and people were going back years, and we were trying to like guesstimate, like, okay, it's gonna be this day, and they're definitely gonna do it before 10, because who would release it like in the afternoon? And then of course, like, nothing would be released, and then it would be but before 5 for sure. And then 5 would come and go and it's like, okay, they're not being released today. So all that to say, waiting is the worst part. Waiting is the second worst part of the bar exam, waiting for your results. I thought I would cry, like either tears of sadness or tears of joy. But when I opened the result and read it, even though it was good news and I passed, I didn't react as much as I thought that I would. And I don't know why. I think it was more just like, okay, that's done. Time to find a job. Yeah, like kind of anticlimactic, even though I was very, very relieved. I called my friend and we had this awkward moment where we were like, so did you? And then finally, like, we just blurted it out and both of us passed and we were very happy. And I called family and friends after that and it was just like a weight off my shoulders. Yeah, that was my bar exam experience. But I also want to take a moment to follow up with that. I had friends who did not pass on the first time, and I want to make it abundantly clear. You are still deserving of being an attorney. You will be an attorney if you want to be an attorney. If you have to take the bar exam again, do it. You deserve to take it again. It's expensive. I think it's overly expensive. We could talk for hours about all the ways that the bar exam could be better or the legal industry could be better. I'll save that for another day. There's a few things that could happen. I think some people, if they find out that they didn't pass, they might decide, it's not worth it for me to pursue it. Like, I really don't want it that bad. And I think that's valid. Like, you can still find so many amazing careers and live an amazing life without passing the bar exam. Same goes for those who don't pass the first time and realize, no, I really, really want this. Pursue it again. Do it on your timeline when you need to. Again, some people may have to work for a bit to figure out financially how they can make that happen. But I just hope that you do try again because, again, like, you've worked so hard to be an attorney. And if that is what you want to do, take it again. You will pass. You will improve. You just need to alter your study tactics a little bit. And there are so many people out there now who are helping other people learn how to pass the bar exam and mentor and give advice. Seek them out because it is possible to pass on the second, third, fourth try. Just keep trying. Don't count yourself out of embarrassment or shame. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. It is an exam. It's a high stakes exam, but at the end of the day, that's all it is. And you just need to pass once. If you liked my insights and you found these helpful, please subscribe. Give me a follow at Kimber Marie James on my socials. Go and connect with me on LinkedIn so I can be a part of your community and we can encourage one another and stay connected.